Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion advised. My brothers and sisters, welcome to episode 3 of the Unshackled Fury podcast, the show that has only one rule: there are no rules. I'm your furious host, Berzerker, and a very happy World of Warcraft anniversary to you all. Although it's not technically until November 23rd, but who's counting? We now begin our long slog into the woods that precedes the coming of Legion, where we shall grind our valor to make our bread and slaughter our way through heroic raids and beyond to obtain our fantastical sparkle moose. Welcome to patch 6.2.3, full of time walking, new mounts, pets, and 11th anniversary gifts. And holy shit, we have a Legion beta data mining fiesta happening. Look at those loading screens, oh my god. But my friends, before we get to the news and the rest of this week's goodies, including Berzerker's Black Friday shopping guide, I need to make a public service announcement to you, my Furian army. As many of you know, throughout human history, there has been a tendency by our species to fear what is new and what is different, whether it be the discovery of new lands, new people, or new ways of thinking. Homo sapiens have long held the capacity to shun what they do not understand. And so, it has come to my attention that this show, and I, have become the target for such misunderstanding. It seems as though I have ruffled some feathers, and I have made some people uncomfortable with my choice of words and attitudes. And so, I would like to apologize. Yes, I would like to apologize to my 25 listeners for even considering taking these concerns into account for more than 2 seconds. Listen up, folks. If it's one thing I make no secret of, it's that I am here to speak my mind, and I will not be silenced by anyone, no matter their station or title. And this is where you, my listeners, come in. We are building something here, something I believe in, and something I want you to believe in as well. We are all here, not just to search for another faceless source of information for our beloved World of Warcraft. Hell, we can do that anywhere. We're here to start a revolution, engage in a new way of thinking and conversing about all things revolving around our world. And yes, sometimes that means in a way that people really talk, using words that may bridle some minds and expressing opinions that may not be popular among the incestuous entertainment landscape that now exists. As a bit of, let's say, inside baseball, I will tell you that I have access to all of the stats about my show and who listens and when they listen and all that kind of good stuff. And I have seen the names that have come into my listening pool, have had little conversations, and have immediately dropped out. So none of this is any secret to me, and it, in fact, kind of makes me laugh a little bit. So to you, my Furian army, let us grow this together. If you like what you hear, tell a friend. Tell another. Raise the banner of this burgeoning force. Follow me on Twitter at Berzerker Rage. You can follow me on SoundCloud or iTunes. You can send me your thoughts at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. Tell me what you want to hear. This is our show, after all. And together, we can send a message to those who shun from their ivory towers that there is a voice coming from the dark. It cannot be tamed, it's hungry, and it will be heard. Now, with all of that said, we have a ton to talk about this week with this sort of final content-ish patch we have going on. But first, believe it or not, we gotta rage. Let's rage. Following the epic events of BlizzCon, we saw the rollout of class blogs, providing some brief insights into each of the 36 specs that Blizzard will be holding on to, RIP Gladiator, detailing new resources and giving some idea into the philosophies that Blizzard will be following as they build towards Legion. While some people took a more moderate approach of let's wait and see as these rolled out, Some people were a little more, let's say, what the fuck is this shit, you fucking pieces of garbage, Blizzard? You have destroyed everything that was good about this game. Where's my vanilla server? And I admit, at first, I was kind of one of them. Now, whenever we hear that there are going to be class changes, all of us immediately set our sights on the things that we want to see banished forever or introduced to make our class play more exciting. I, for one, have lobbied for years that warriors get a headbutt ability that acts as an interrupt, mostly because I think smashing a fully plated helm into a dopey hunter would be hilarious, but of course, that's just my pipe dream that fails to come to fruition. Okay, fine. Now with others, there are more nuanced changes that are desired, and unfortunately, all of us can see on full display when the changes that they want are either exempt or not enough, and the fall of the world itself comes to follow. And what I mean by that is the flurry of forum posts and Twitter rants that are guised as constructive, but do not avail themselves to any kind of conversation whatsoever if you are paying attention. For the sake of argument here is an actual Twitter rant that I came across today from an upset player, and mind you, this took me literally 10 seconds to find as I trolled through the Warcraft devs Twitter feed, because it is absolutely flooded with this shit. So here you go, here's the quote. Have you considered that instead of selling out and dumbing it down for your Activision masters to sell more copies to idiots, instead, you could tell your Activision masters to go shove it and actually make the game good? I heard people like to buy quality games. Maybe that would be financially viable. Man, I don't even know anymore. What are you guys even doing, lol? Let's just prune the two most fun cool abilities that Subtlety even has, lol what? Like, I can't even get mad anymore. Y'all are just dumb as hell. Yeah. That makes the game better. Listen, Blizzard and its developers are not above scrutiny, and there are plenty of legitimate instances of where things have gone wrong. I understand getting pissed off at a ton of things in life, and this game is no exception. But quite honestly, for anyone that feels the need to respond this way to an actual human being who is working diligently to bring us the very best product they can provide, please, just fucking quit. You're bad for the community, you do not help in any way, and we do not need you. For the rest of us, getting pissed off is perfectly fine. In fact, I encourage it because I know, at least for me, it gets me to really think about whatever it is that has drawn my ire. But think about what you do for there. And let me give you somewhat of an example here. As a Fury Warrior, I'm not exactly pleased, shall we say, with the crit-dependent feast or famine playstyle that we've been saddled with the last couple of years. Does it look like that's going to continue? Quite possibly. But I'll tell you this, having looked at the talent calculators, and we'll get to that a little bit later, I have no idea how this is going to play practically. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad when it comes time for raids. I really don't know. And so I'm not going to go on Twitter and go nuts. But what I would like to see, and what I will try to do, and you can follow me on Twitter, as I've said before, and see if this happens, is I want to have a constructive dialogue with the Blizzard developers. So if something doesn't feel good, I'll go on and say, you know what? We've got this cool new ability that you guys are working on, but either the ramp-up of rage to get there just isn't generating very smoothly. Ask questions about, well, do you intend this to be different at 101 as opposed to 110? What are your theories behind these kinds of things? What is the rotational style that you're developing versus what we're seeing in practicality? Those are the kinds of discussions that need to be had. Channel your anger or confusion into something constructive. Think an ability that got pruned is a huge loss? Then rationally explain why and start a dialogue. See other players dogpiling on an issue with no real solution being offered? Just don't jump in. We live in an age where people from the farthest reaches are now just a click away, and we play a game where, whether you believe that they're hyper-responsive or not, we have developers that are willing to risk the explosiveness of engaging publicly with their player base to make a better game. Believe it or not, they want our help. So I encourage all of you to use this upcoming Legion beta time wisely. Use your knowledge, use your skill set, use your experiences, and help those that seek our help to build a better game for all. All right, let's get to the news.
And now it's time for News and the Blues.
By the fiery beard of Odin, do we have a ton to get to this week. And to kick things off, we have an anniversary to get to. Hey! On November 23rd, 2004, a day that will live in infamy, Blizzard Entertainment unleashed upon the world a vision of fantastical land of humans and orcs, dwarves and tauren, horde and alliance, as the massively multiplayer online role-playing game World of Warcraft was released into the wild. Yes, it is on this blessed day that we celebrate the anniversary of this Warcraft iteration, and this year we have been bestowed a bevy of gifts that include an homage to what is the traditional 11th anniversary gift, and a personal favorite of mine, steel. And that would be in the form of an inflatable Thunder Fury, blessed blade of the Windseeker. If you haven't been able to grind one up yourself yet, here's a chance to wield one of the first and greatest legendary weapons in the history of our game. And among the other gifts we've received this year, we have an exquisite costume set of Edwin Van Cleef, for which you get 50 charges, and I can verify that it lasts through death, because I used it during a raid, and I died a bunch of times because I'm an idiot, and it lasted, so that's kind of nice. We also have 2 celebration wands, one for a gnoll, so it makes you kind of look like Hogger, and a Murloc, which, shit, we all know what Murlocs look like, I don't need to describe that. And we have 5 charges each of those, so that's kind of fun. We also have a sort of a token-ish thing that will give us an 11% experience or reputation boost until the end of the event, which is December 2nd at 10 a.m., I believe. So if you have any sort of rep grinds you're working on for Pathfinder, Draenor flight people on my raid team, boost that sucker out of there and make it happen. So get out there, log on to all of your alts, collect all of your goodies, and enjoy the anniversary festivities. Now, one random thing that I did want to talk about this week before I get too far, since we are talking about some of the post-BlizzCon stuff, is a tweet that was sent out by Dave Cossack, who is the lead narrative designer for World of Warcraft. In case you don't know him or what he does or seen him at a panel or anything, he is one of the main contributors to the overall story and direction of the game, and he also manages a couple of other teams that produce content. So, just a couple of days after BlizzCon, someone tweeted out, just to the general populace, asking how long we all think it will be until BlizzCon becomes a 3-day event. Now, it wasn't to Mr. Cossack, but he did pick up on it, and he responded by saying, "What does everyone think? 3-day BlizzCon? I doubt I would survive." And while this may have just been a harmless prod, there is a lot to be said for extending our holiday an extra day. With all of the esports Blizzard is backing these days, and as evidenced by the panels that were basically held in a back alley of Hall A at the convention center, it is clear to me, and I think to a lot of people, that Blizzard now has just simply too much content to cram into 2 days, or specifically, as I counted, 21 hours of content. Would it kill the Blizzard employees? Well, maybe not. But the physical and financial toll of tacking on another day could prove to be very costly. Would a $300 ticket deter that many people? Well, probably not. It's likely that the event will still sell out in like 10 seconds. But it is something to give thought to, and I, for one, would be more than happy to keep shelling out the bucks for a chance to have another day with my Blizzard family. So give it some thought. If you happen to see Dave Cossack tweeting some things around, maybe some of the other Blizzard devs, give him a shout. Tell him what you think. Say, hey, maybe we'd be willing to fork out some more bucks for another day. So something to think about. The big news coming after BlizzCon, though, of course, and the subject of my earlier discussion, was the class blogs that arrived during a multi-day rollout the week following BlizzCon. Each class and the 36 specializations they're keeping were touched upon by the Blizzard gods themselves, and we were given some insights into what we can expect for the upcoming Legion expansion. Certainly, some classes were gifted some surprises that proved to be quite popular, like rogues getting the outlaw spec. Now you can be a ninja or a pirate. And even paladins got a teleport ability, and I think they just renamed this to Tyrallian's Might because Lothar's a warrior, goddammit, finally giving them some increased mobility. There were indeed several resource changes as promised, with Death Knights now all having the same type of rune, Shadow Priests getting Insanity, and Elemental and Enhancement Shaman getting Maelstrom, to which I say, welcome to the Rage Bar, my element-wielding friends. We saw the death of a few specs that provided some genuine flavor to two classes, with Fist Weaving for monks and Gladiator spec for warriors going the way of the dodo. Can't say I'm all that excited about Gladiator going away, and I know I've seen quite an outcry for the fist-weaving monks. I feel for you, my brothers. And in an age when they've stated that they're focusing on class fantasy, it is unfortunate to see specs like this get cut, but the hopeful trade-off is that the remaining specs provide enough interesting fantasy to keep those classes and those specs compelling. And with these blogs, the developers have been quite active on the Warcraft devs' Twitter, and the follow-up on them has, quite frankly, been tremendous. Certainly, there are tons of valid questions that don't or won't get answered. But I have to commend the devs for reaching out and giving us the deluge of information that they have through the channels available to them about our classes, and they've even included some creature comforts that they didn't include in some of the other blogs. One of them being, you no longer have to have tomes to switch talents, so now all talent switching is free, which is, just kind of nice. Any bag space is good space, I say. So if you haven't yet perused your relevant class blogs or thumbed through the Warcraft devs Twitter feed, I highly recommend you take a look. And be sure to keep in mind that these are early previews. Anything can change, and surely things will. But read up on them, see what there is, and if you see something that's either falling short or something that you think is right in the sweet spot, hit up the devs on Twitter and give them your thoughts. Most recently, we've had patch 6.2.3 finally go live this past Tuesday, bringing with it an old friend in the form of Valor, and a slew of other content tidbits to help keep us going for the next several months. Just as a refresher, time-walking events have been expanded to include the most recent run of Cataclysm dungeons that were run this past weekend with Grim Batol, Stonecore, Lost City of Tol'vir, the Vortex Pinnacle, Throne of Tides, and one of the coolest dungeons that they ever did, End Time. Because let's face it, if Deathwing basically hanging impaled, if you don't think that that's cool, then you just leave. We'll also be seeing Pit of Saran from Wrath of the Lich King and Magister's Terrace from Burning Crusade in upcoming events. And, of course, don't forget, we now have the chance to walk away with one of the sweetest mounts ever, the Infinite Dragonflight mount, which can drop from any time-walking boss. So get all of your time-walking gear ready, all of your old legendaries. I know I've got my Pandaria cloak, and I've got my Shadowmourne all ready to go, so whatever you got, bring it, have a good time in there. But of course, we're all about that base. No. We're about, Valor. We're all about the Valor. Yeah, Valor. Valor grinds, up and running. So if you're into basically getting free loot, get your queues fired up. And to help prioritize your runs, the breakdown of Valor awards that are now available is as follows. You can get 100 Valor from your first random heroic dungeon per day, with 700 being the maximum for the week. 300 from each mythic dungeon that you run, with a 2,400 max accrual per week. You get 500 from most weekly quests, which you can find in your garrison. You get 150 Valor from the first time you run each Hellfire Citadel LFR wing, and it looks like about a 750 max there. 75 Valor from the first time you run each High Mauler Foundry LFR wing, because they're just old content, so why would you award that much? I don't know. With a 525 Valor max per week on those, all for a grand total of 4,875 Valor that you can earn in 1 week, which equates to 9 fully upgraded pieces at 250 Valor per upgrade and a maximum of 2 upgrades per item. And once you've done that, once you've accrued that 4,000, nearly 5,000 Valor, take a shower, get some food, because damn, that's a lot of time. From my own personal experience, what I can tell you is that the mythic dungeons are a great way to go. If you have any kind of an organized group, I ran several with members from my raid team on Friday night, just this past Friday night, and it really wasn't any different than when I ran them on normals. I had forgotten how beautiful these dungeons are, and honestly, how well put together the fights are. They're interesting, they're creative, and unfortunately they just didn't really matter after a certain point, and I stopped running them. I think I only ran each dungeon maybe 1 or 2 times because I just needed the gears, I leveled, and that was it. So this is a wonderful opportunity to go back, revisit that content, because it really is beautiful, it's challenging. We died a couple of times per run, but nothing too crazy. There are also pieces of heirloom gear that you can get, and I managed to score this Grand Tooth trinket that I never thought I would see in a million years. So it's really worth it to run the Mythic Dungeons. That would be my personal recommendation in terms of Valor Accrual. And 2400, that gets you plenty of pieces. Maybe that and the weekly quest gets you almost 3000. That's plenty of valor. That's plenty of good upgrades. Spread them around, dogpile on one. You can go on Ask Mr. Robot, find out which ones will be your greatest upgrades, use them there. So that's what I would say. Mythic Dungeons, those are the way to go. And last but not least, the greatest part of this patch has gone live. My favorite mount and yours, the Magic Sparkle Moose himself, the Grove Warden. Now, this comes from a quest drop from either Mythic or Heroic Archimond, and if you aren't fortunate enough to be on a raid team that can secure you that kill or isn't working towards one, seek out #FriendshipMoose and see if you can find a group through Twitter that's willing to help you get there. From what I've seen, there seems to be huge community support for this, so if it's something that you're interested in, hit up the Twitter, #FriendshipMoose, and see what you can get. All in all, still much to digest as we recover from BlizzCon, but with bellies full of valor and class blogs, we continue our march on into the coming year with a Legion waiting for us on the other side. And speaking of Legion, there was a promise made to all of us at BlizzCon that the Legion beta would be firing up just weeks after the event had concluded, and it looks as though this may become a reality, as the data miners have been firing on all cylinders beginning this past Thursday night, and a flood of Legion info has hit the internet. Now, I'll be honest, half of the stuff that shows up on sites like Wowhead mean zero to me. I have no idea what a string is. I have no idea what half of that text even means. I kind of scroll through it and say, can I get this? No, because I'm an idiot. I don't understand any of that stuff. But if you have the time, scroll through the exhaustive lists that they have and all of the little finds that they've managed to dig up and see what's relevant to you. You never know what you might find. I'm not one for spoilers. I love a surprise as much as the next person. So while I will try not to mention any real specifics here, there is a ton of good information coming out with more than 4,000 items. 4,000 having currently been data mined. So I think it's safe to say that there are fair ways along on this expansion. Granted, all of this is subject to change, but we are getting an early look at talent calculators, missions, class champions, sound files, which usually give away a few things if you're curious enough to take a peek in there, achievements, factions, items, emotes, dungeons, titles, and new models for Anduin, Sylvanas, Malfurion, and a sort of spoilerish model for someone who I am very excited to see back in action in any form. If you're Alliance, if you remember the Wrathgate, if you fought in ICC, you'll know who I'm talking about. So if you're interested in what has come out, check out all of the usual sites for more, or just sit tight and wait until it comes out and keep all the juicy surprises for the beta or the full expansion release next year. So we have a ton of news happening right now. It's a great time to be a Blizzard gamer overall. I will tell you, we just had, of course, the Overwatch open beta this past weekend, which was a lot of fun. The StarCraft expansion just hit. I've been playing through that. It's been a blast. And with all of this Legion and Warcraft info that's hitting us right now, it's a great time to be a Blizzard gamer, and I couldn't be more excited. So let's get on to our final segment and wrap this puppy up. So this week is, of course, Thanksgiving, and while it is my favorite IRL holiday, as for one day I am allowed to disgustingly gorge myself on every buttery, meat-filled delicacy imaginable, it also marks the gates of the very real hell known as Black Friday. Now, for some odd reason, Black Friday has basically turned into just that time after Halloween until New Year's, I guess. But in keeping with the spirit of this week, I thought I would bring you my own Berzerker's Black Friday and provide a top 10 list of gifts for the hard-to-buy-for Warcraft enthusiast. This could either be a guide for yourself or for others, but overall, this is intended to provide some assistance as we all navigate the hazardous wasteland of holiday shopping. So number 10, a game time card. Yes, a game time card. It's the most utilitarian thing that you could buy any Warcraft player. You can find them essentially in 60-day units. You can get them anywhere. Target, Best Buy, I don't know, Costco, your local deli. Everybody seems to have these things nowadays. So with number 10, we're going with a 60-day time card. Number 9. Now, I have to be a little bit careful about how I word this one because I don't want to get anybody into trouble. But if you go onto Etsy and you search for a Warcraft etched mug, there is a particular shop, and if you want to message me on Twitter, I will tell you who it is. But they do the best Warcraft etched glassware I have ever seen. I have a mug, a personal mug that I had done. It says Berzerker on it. It has the Crest of Lordaeron. I also had one made for my buddy Hannibal. These things are absolutely glorious, and for $30, it's a hell of a deal. These things are heavy. They are really top quality. So if you're looking for something for any faction, any race, whatever it is, I highly recommend going on Etsy, looking for this. You will not be sorry. So that's the number 9, an Etsy etched mug or other glassware. Number 8, no matter where you go, you have to show your faction pride. I know, I'm Alliance biased. I'll always say that. But if you're going to be Horde or Alliance, you got to own up to it. So for $22, essentially, you can go on the Jinx website, and that's Jinx. In their promotional material, the I is an exclamation point. All very cute. But they have a ton of stuff on there, whether it's your class or your faction or whatever. But I recommend the faction t-shirt. Make sure that when you go out to the store, you're showing everybody, look, this is who I'm repping. I'm proud. I'm showing it. I don't give a fuck. You got to do it. That's number 8. Now, number 7, if you have a couple more bucks to spend, for $70, you can get either a Champion of the Horde or Champion of the Alliance hoodie. I've taken a look at one of these things myself. Very high quality. Looks good. I didn't touch it, but I'm sure it feels good. I'm sure it feels good. So at number 7, if you have a few bucks to spend, get a hoodie. It's wintertime. Everybody loves that kind of stuff. Staying warm, staying cozy. Good deal. Number 6, Loot Crate. Now, everybody's got a box of shit these days that they're trying to sell, whether it's clothes or makeup or trinkets or whatever. Well, this is the good trinket one, Loot Crate. For $20 a month, there's some kind of a theme every month. Last month it was time, so there was like Back to the Future stuff. This current month, I think it's combat. But my point is that there is Blizzard stuff that shows up in some of these boxes, and it's just kind of an overall cool gaming-themed gift. I know I have personally requested that one for this year because of some Blizzard marketing that was done, but it's kind of a cool gift overall and something that Blizzard does partner with. So at number 6, Loot Crate, $20 a month, pretty good deal. Now, number 5, a canvas wall hang. So back in the day, we used to have expansion release, well, not really parties, but it used to be kind of a get-together, an informal get-together with your neighborhood. You'd go down to Best Buy, you'd go down to GameStop mostly. And on the eve of the expansion release, you'd go down, you'd sit out in the cold, you'd freeze your ass off, but you were there with a ton of other people waiting for the next Warcraft expansion. I can remember waiting for Wrath of the Lich King with like 200 other people in a parking lot, and over the years that number did dwindle a little bit. But one of the coolest things about that every year was that I was given an expansion set poster. So in my cubicle at work, I still have all of these hanging up, and people always come by and are asking me what it is, and they look cool, and yeah, that's right. I've got a big dragon and a panda. What? What of it? Well, they don't really give these things away anymore because they don't really do the midnight release events anymore. But what they do have now are these canvas wall hangs, one for every released expansion. If you go to the Blizzard Gear site, not the actual like World of Warcraft site, if you go to the Blizzard Gear site for $50, they sell these canvas wall hangs. So if Wrath of the Lich King is your favorite, pick one up. If Burning Crusade was your favorite, get one of those too. Whatever it is. These make great additions to, like I said, I keep in mind in my cubicle, if you have like a game room, even just a room, hell, a bathroom if you have room, a garage, whatever. Great pieces of art to add to your home, because after all, who doesn't love these expansion art pieces? So at number 5, canvas wall hang on the Blizzard Gear site. Now at number 4, I have an item that I personally own, and it's one of my favorite pieces of Blizzard memorabilia, we'll say, that I've ever had. And what it is the Art of Blizzard. It's a coffee table book. It's one of these big, huge, hardcover books. And it is full of concept art, paintings, sketches, more than 700 pieces that they have added to this book, along with commentary on all of it by Chris Metzen, Sam Didier, and Nick Carpenter. This book is phenomenal. I have thumbed through this thing many, many times. I have to try not to touch it too much because I try not to touch it too much because I don't want to ruin it. But it's big, it's bold, it's beautiful. It has tons of stuff that you've never seen anywhere else. And it's actually pretty reasonable in terms of price. It's $75. It's on the Blizzard Gear website, same place that you can get the wall art, the canvas wall hangs. For my money, for what you get, this is probably the best deal of anything that I have on this list. So number 4, the Art of Blizzard hardcover. So for number 3, let's start ramping this up a little bit. Let's say you want to have a real statement piece about your time as a Warcraft player. You want people to know there's no excuse, and you want to spend a couple of bucks. Then this is what I have for you. A Sideshow Collectibles Deathwing statue for $600. So if you go on sideshowtoy.com, you can look this up under the Warcraft tab. And what they have is this gigantic statue of Deathwing spreading his wings, standing over the smoking ruins of Stormwind. And it lights up, and it's got just insane detail. These guys, Sideshow Collectibles, they do phenomenal work for a variety of franchises. Star Wars, DC, Marvel, the whole shebang. They have something for everyone on this list. The Deathwing statue is currently the only thing they have for Warcraft. They did have an Arthas piece about 2 years ago, and it's gorgeous and beautiful, and they, of course, sold out of it long ago. So if you want to get something of a really high-quality detail that is for sure a statement piece, the Deathwing statue at $600 is the way to go. So number 3, Sideshow Collectibles Deathwing statue. For number 2 on this list, you can't go wrong with a Frostmourne replica sword of your very own. And this is not this LARPy soft foam rubber bullshit. This is an honest-to-God Frostmourne replica that was made by Epic Weapons. These are, of course, sold out. These are long gone. These do not exist from Epic Weapons. In fact, if you go to their website right now, the thing barely exists. It says they're gone for maintenance or construction or something. So your best bet, and this one and the number 1 on this list, they're both from eBay, $300. For $300, you can have the blade of the Lich King himself. And if you haven't seen this thing, it's pretty sweet. It's high-quality steel. It's a leather-wrapped handle. It's the skull on the hilt. It's the whole thing. I have begged and pleaded for years for one of these things. I keep hoping that magically one's going to fall off a truck in front of my house and no one's ever going to come to claim it, because I would love to hang this thing up in my den. But if you've got the money, if you've got a couple $100, $300 is the last that I saw on eBay, you can get yourself a Frostmourne replica sword. Now, will it turn you evil? Will it steal your soul? All that kind of stuff? Well, that's going to be your problem. I assume no responsibility for that. But if you want one, that's the number 2 on my list, the Frostmourne replica sword. You can find it on eBay for, right now, about $300 or $400. But the number 1 item on this list, this is for the person that has everything, except for maybe this one thing. This is the most expensive Warcraft-related piece that I can find. It's certainly one of the rarest pieces that you could ever have, other than maybe the personal Chris Metzen sketch that was recently in the BlizzCon silent auction. This is the thing. If you've got the cash, this is the end-all be-all for all Warcraft players. And it is the original World of Warcraft Collector's Edition from 2004, the US version, factory sealed, vanilla. You know it, you love it. And right now, you can get it for a steal on eBay at about $5,000. I saw another one for $9,000 or $10,000. This one's half off. It's a deal. It's a Berzerker Black Friday deal just for you. $5,000. You can have the original collector's edition. It comes with a panda pet and some other stuff. Very hard to find, very rare. So the number one item on this list, World of Warcraft Collector's Edition, the original version for $5,000 on eBay. So there it is. There's your Black Friday shopping guide. Something for all incomes and desires. Use it in good health and happy shopping. And there you have it, my friends. The Black Friday edition of Unshackled Fury is now in the books. Thanks again for joining along with me on this little experiment of ours. As I said at the top of the show, it's up to us to grow this army of ours, and together we can change this audiosphere forever. I'm going to keep cranking out these shows every 2 weeks as promised. I'm going to keep trying to bring as much excitement as I can to the things that I do, touch on topics that I find interesting. We will have the erotic fan fiction at some point in the future. I promise it's coming, and I hope it's hilarious when I eventually do it, if I can do what I have planned. So keep an ear out for that. So please, tell a friend, give a follow on Twitter at Berzerker Rage. Follow the show on SoundCloud or iTunes, or send me your thoughts at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. So until next time, happy anniversary, happy Thanksgiving, enjoy all of the festivities, and strength and honor to you.